G'day guys. Okay, this has been a bit long coming, but it's time that you knew the truth about what happened in court and all the details, the verdicts, who won, who didn't win, and why I couldn't talk about it. Okay, so section 1 will be the start. Alright, so my bar was stolen. I finally got a lawyer to represent me. We put the case to the courts that was approved. Right, they believed that was a proper case, and so we started action. Right, now the case was for theft of the bar, theft of all the takings from the bar, and extortion. Okay, so that was what we were doing, going through that. Okay, now there's other things that we're going to go for, but they had to go through civil courts. Okay. What they did in retaliation is they put a case up for me for defamation. Now, the case was about basically she come to my house. Now, she didn't own the bar. She demanded that I give her the books for the bar, and I refused. Right, because this wasn't her bar. She never paid a zack for anything, guys. She had she had nothing, right? She was just a thief. Anyway, so, look, I refused. She called the police, spoke to them in Thai. They come to my house. They let her in my house because she said, I've left stuff there and he won't let me get it, right? And she's taken my books, right? And they show, the money that's missing, right? So I couldn't really do anything. But what I did do is I took a lot of photos. I stuck my phone in the bag on the table when she stuck it on the table and all that kind of stuff. And then I rang a friend of mine when they'd gone and said, can you take me to the police station and I'll report it. My friend reported it because she spoke Thai. And that was that. So out of that, they've started a court case against me for a defamation, okay? So that's it, defamation. So now we've got 2 court cases, me going them for the stolen bar, for the stolen money and extortion, and them going me for defamation, over bogus charges. Understanding what we're dealing with, guys. Now, for you to understand what really went down and how it all worked and that, you have to understand narcissism and sociopaths, right? And mixed together, they can be a very, very nasty combination of somebody that just will not tell the truth and will do anything to clear their name and make you look bad. Anyway, I'll put stuff about sociopaths and narcissism in the comments, but that's what we're dealing with. Now, not only that, she had a boyfriend at the time. Now, I don't know if he was involved in stealing the bar, right, but he was certainly there. And what he did, this guy, now, I don't know whether he believed her or whatever, but the bottom line is this guy started a channel to defame me. Right, now she obviously told a lot of lies about me and made up a lot of stories and this and that, because they're all coming up on this global channel and they always had these new scoops from such and such. Now, this channel is supposedly all about me, but they've got all the information and they're never spoken to me, yeah? Okay, so that's this. So she's got her doing this. They're taking me to court for defamation, right? He's doing these channels and what have you and making up all these stories and putting me on Potato 365 and, just all this rubbish, right? And then we've got another fella that used to be here. He's moved up to another city. He's got involved because he's actually made a statement from Hu Hin, right, to the police, he tells me, that's going to get me put in jail. So, guys, it's just all nonsense, it's crazy. Anyway, so that's that. Now we'll get back to next part of it is, okay, so we're going to court, guys. Now, they've got in before me somehow, right? Now, they managed to do this. Now, I don't know how, but anyway, the way it works over here is I prepared my case really, really well. I had all the information. I knew what they were doing. I knew what they were up to. I knew what they were trying to do. And I could prove that it was all rubbish, right? So I did. I prepared a really good case, went through it with my lawyer, and handed it over to him. Now, I wasn't going to go to court for that case, guys, because if I had been, it hadn't been finished on the day or whatever, I would have had to stay in jail. Now, I didn't really want to do this, so that's not the way I went. Anyway, the court went to our favour. The judges believed us and she was going to get the case was going to be thrown out. Now, she bunged on a big scene, carrying on and crying. Her son won't talk to her. People are talking bad about her. I'm ruining her life. I've stolen her bar. All this kind of nonsense. And and she's carried on. And she said she has to get this police in because this police will tell the truth and it prove that I'm lying and that she's telling the truth. Okay, so that's that. Now, the judges, agreed. They gave her a chance to prove her innocence, and the court was finished for that day. Now, it was going to open in a couple of weeks again, and the policeman was going to come and blah, blah, blah. In the meantime, it was my turn. Now, my lawyer and my translation lawyer, right, turned up at the court, and her and a lawyer weren't there, right? So this was our, day in the sun, and they pulled a Swifty and they were, not there. So we had to address the judge and reschedule. So we did this, and walked away. That was that, finished. Okay, so from here on, the next thing was, a couple of weeks later, her policeman was, and her case was coming up again. So the policeman come to the court for her. Now, she expected him to purge himself, and now he didn't. He said, he told the truth. He said exactly what happened. I don't know what she expected him to say, but, he said, look, I come to the police station with a friend, reported the incident, and then left. And what she expected him to say, I don't know, but, like she thought she was going to get me convicted and what have you. But the thing is, everything she'd done was really, really feeble and weak. Like, she just had no basis behind anything she said. Everything was just garbage and lies. And then she couldn't defend it, so that was that. So her case was kicked out, guys. I'd won, right? She'd been, made look like a fool and lied and what have you, and the case was finished, right? There was no consequences for me, even with Mr. Hoo-Hin putting his 2 bobs worth in. They didn't believe it, right? It was all garbage, okay? So I won, okay? So, I didn't actually win the case for that, but her case was kicked out. So for me, I was not under threat anymore. So that was that. Okay, so the next section. Okay, so our day in the sun, and we went to court, and she didn't turn up. The lawyer was there, and I was asked to stand on the stand and give my evidence, and what I did, I had produced everything well. I had all the evidence. I had the bank statements. I had proof of everything, right? You name it, I had it, and I also had the recordings that I'd been recording her of the threats and all the stuff that she'd been saying to me. She's going to steal my bar, she's going to do this, she's going to do that, blah, blah, blah. Right? And then I had them transcribed as well into Thai and stuff, so like the court could hear that. So that was all good. Now, my stuff went on for about an hour and a half, and the judge said, okay, thank you. Right? Now, I had heaps of stuff more to go, but she said, no, that's fine. Right? Anyway, so then the lawyer from the other side, from her, come up and questioned me. He's I think he was shell shocked, guys, because I think that he'd been lied to the whole way through, and he didn't know what was going on. So when when I put my statements and stuff out there, he didn't know how to respond. But he asked me what a certain document was, and then he went on to do what Global Vlog done. All the stuff that they'd done, obviously it'd come from her and him, right? The boyfriend and her, right? Do you have a work permit? What is your visa? You can't work here. You can't do this. You're illegal. You're this and that. Blah, blah, blah. Exactly the same garbage that Global Vlog was saying on the channel, basically making me out to be, working here illegal. Now, the judge stepped in and she said, this is incorrect, right? There's nothing wrong with owning a bar. Right, you don't need a special visa, you don't need a work permit, you don't do nothing, right? If you're not working in the bar. Now, the business structure, that's a different matter altogether, right? And nothing's been done wrong, okay? So you nip that in the bud. Next thing, he asked some more feeble questions, and they were feeble, and there was nothing. Right, and I was very surprised. And the last thing he come up with a picture of her with her hair all messed up and whatever, and she was just an absolute mess, and she had scratches on her arm and a bruise on her forearm and stuff like that, and she looked like she'd had an argument with a rosebush or something like that, just on one arm. And she said, "Do you know anything about this?" And I sort of laughed, guys. I sort of laughed, and I thought, this is ridiculous. And there was no timestamp. I said, "When did this happen? Can you give us some dates, give us some information, because I'd like to know." And they couldn't give me anything, and that was it. Okay, so the judge called a recess, and then she said, "We'll be back in an hour and a half, and then we'll continue." Okay, so hour and a half went, she come back, and she read the case word for word, and everything was 100% on my side, guys. And then I thought she was going to announce and say, "Yeah, look, you've won." Well, she said, I'll review the case and we'll reconvene in, 2 or 3 weeks' time." And so that was that, guys. I thought we destroyed him. I told my lawyer, he goes, "How do you feel about that?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm confident. Like, they had nothing." I said, everything I said, we just absolutely destroyed them. Their case was so weak, and he said, "Yeah, I agree." Anyway, so that was that. Okay, so next case, or next time appearance, we go to the court, and he was there, but her lawyer was there, but she wasn't there. Okay, and the judge had ruled on her case. She said she's guilty, and read out she's going to go to jail for such and such, and that she will do a warrant for her arrest today. Right, so guys, we won the case, right? But she hadn't turned up, and the lawyer looked pretty shell-shocked, but anyway, we won. That's the bottom line. Anyway, because she wasn't there, we had to appear again at another date. So we come back at another date, and my lawyers, her lawyers, excuse me, had come back. Now, she appeared. Right, now, she basically pleaded, right, and carried on to negotiate, right, some way she couldn't go to jail. Now, after talking to my lawyer, I agreed to hear her and see something. Now, if we could come up with a negotiation, sure, but if we couldn't, she's going to jail. Anyway, so we gave her the benefit of the doubt, and she come up with... now, I knew we weren't going to get the whole lot of money. I knew the rest of the stuff was going to be a lot of civil stuff, right? And because we've already won the case, right, we will win the civil stuff as well, right? We just got to prove some things, that's all. Anyway, so that was that, guys. And we said we wanted 1.3 million. I said that, and she said, "I can't. I haven't do it, but I can do 1.1 million." Right, and she said, "My boyfriend will pay," right, "but I can pay every 2 months, right, for over 6 months. I can pay 28th of February, 28th of April, 28th of June, so it's going to be 300, 400, 400, and then the thing's over." She said, but then, right, just between her and me, she says she cannot tell anybody. She says, "My boyfriend will not pay if anybody know about this," right? She said, you have to keep private. Cannot talk about it. You cannot say you won the case. You have to just drop it. Forget it. No more. All right. And I said, "If I do this, you'll pay the money." "Oh, yes. He will pay. Right, and it'll be finished." I said, "All right." And I knew deep down she wasn't going to do it. I knew this was just all bullshit. Sorry. Anyway, so that was that. Now, she tried to lie a few more times downstairs at the remediation judge. The remediation judge shut her down and said, "Look, you have to resolve this now, or you're going to jail. Do you understand that?" And she said, yes, and whatever. So that was that. Okay, so we're going to change over to the next part. Okay, so then I was back to the courtroom upstairs. So we went up to the courtroom, and I spoke to the judge, and my lawyer spoke to the judge and said, "Look, we've been to remediation. We've agreed on a deal, and she and the judge said, 'Are you happy with this deal?' And I said, 'Yeah, well, I've agreed to it,' right? And the deal was, to cop this 1.1 million over 6 months, right? And me not to talk about it, right? And I didn't. That was not part of the deal through the courts, but that was the deal. Me to accept the thing. She paid me back the money over 6 months, but between me and her privately, I don't say anything, or her boyfriend won't pay. And that's what happened, guys. So the judge was absolutely filthy at her, and she read her the riot act and said she should be going to jail. She's got off lightly, and she says, if you do not fulfill this, right, I will put you in jail for 3 years, right? So, and she said you have to plead guilty, and mate, give her the once over, mate. Give her heaps, right? And put her in a place big time. And she wasn't mucking around. The judge was, pretty straightforward. And anyway, so she agreed, and she got, pretty much, I think she got handcuffed and taken away. And I think they spent a few, like 5 or 6 hours down in the cells and whatever. So that was that. So guys, we won. Now the judge also said that on the 20th of May, in between the last two payments, right, she wants to review what's gone down, and then we'll make sure everything was done as per what was agreed, and if not, she's going to put her straight in jail, right? And anyway, so that was that, and we'd won the case, guys. We'd won the case. Right now, everything was finished, and like she had to report into the court every week and do all this kind of stuff, but we won, guys. So her first case got dismissed. Second one, we'd won, but I couldn't talk about it because of her, what she said, or I wasn't going to get paid. Now, I don't know if she realises, but whether I talk or not, she was getting, if she didn't pay, she goes to jail regardless, right? So anyway, that happened. I won the case, right? She lost. Again, she'd been caught out lying. Everything was just garbage, and that was that. Okay, that's that bit for now. Now, the payments. Time had gone by, and the first payment was due, and she never paid it. Right, I sent her a message, when are you going to pay the money, blah, blah, blah. She sent me a couple of lie messages, and then that was it. She never paid the money. The second payment was due, she never paid that as well. So that was that. Come the 20th of May, I don't know what she'd been checking in or doing whatever, but she wasn't at the court, and she hadn't paid the money. Right, so we sat before the judge, and the judge said, look, I'll arrest her, and we'll put her in jail. And that was that, and we went. Now, I was contacted a few weeks later, saying she was in with a boyfriend at Swan, or whatever it was, in Jomtien, off Chaiapuk, and but she'd moved to Karat. Now, it was believed that the boyfriend was looking after her and supporting her and all that kind of stuff, and when she was on the run. Now, there's consequences for that, guys, big consequences, because if you're somebody's on the run and you're supporting them, it's like, what's it called? You know what I mean. Anyway, there's that kind of stuff, so that's got a big consequence by itself. Anyway, so it was believed that she was seen in Naklua and then up in Karat. Now, I was contacted, and the police said, look, we know where she is. We'll arrest her, but it's not through the normal things. And I had to pay 20,000 baht, which is 1,000 Australian dollars, right? So I paid 20,000 baht to get her arrested. Now, apparently, they arrested her and they had her in possession. Now, something happened between then and the time to come back to Pattaya, and she was gone, right? So we went back to the court, right, and said, look, where is she? We don't know what's going on. And anyway, we were issued with another arrest warrant. Right, she's on the run. Now she's going to jail. Now, if you know her or what she looks like or who she is or whatever, there's plenty of videos and stuff that sort of show her face, and we had a lot of parties at the bar. A lot of people come and they know who she is. Now, she's a big lady. She's about 5'7", 5'8" tall. She had long black hair. Now, I believe she's cut her hair short. It might even be dyed blonde or something like that. And she's lost a lot of weight, guys. An absolute lot of weight. Now, guys, if you know where she is, please contact me. I'll have links so how you can contact me, emails and all that kind of stuff, because I have to produce the arrest warrant. I've got a copy of the arrest warrant. The police won't have it. So to have her arrested, I need to find out where she is, and then I can produce the arrest warrant and she'll go to jail. Okay, so there's one more part to this, guys. Thanks for hanging out and listening to it. There's one more part, and I'll just play that out in a sec. So, guys, there's just so much more to this story than I've just told you then. I will be putting it on Patreon, putting it all together, putting it on Patreon. So if you want to check it out, there will be links coming up eventually. It'll probably take me a month or two to start putting them up about the whole story. Now, I'll be back on deck soon. I'll do some videos and explain why I just disappeared off the face of the earth as far as YouTube went, and bring you back up to speed. Now I'm going to be out and about again, and starting to live and enjoy life again. But anyway, so thanks for hearing me out, guys, and sorry it took so long, but look, when I give someone my word, I give them my word. But when they don't come through, I give them an extra 3 months to come up with the goods, and they still didn't come up with it. That's why I'm telling you right now, okay? Okay, thanks for watching.